Okay, so you've been up at the Capitol for about a month now. Tell us about the transition, and I know it's been a whirlwind of a movement up there. It happened so fast, and you had such big shoes to fill. Tell us about your first month in office.
Well, it's been an incredible transition for the state of Hawaii. All of us are in a transition phase with Senator Akaka stepping down and the loss of Senator Inouye. Our congressional delegation is really new, but we are unified, and we're working really hard. Over the first couple of weeks, we built strong relationships with the Majority Leader, Harry Reid, and with other members of the leadership. And the result was really positive for the state of Hawaii. I got the committee assignments that I asked for, which is unusual, actually. I'm one of the only freshmen on the Commerce Committee, which has jurisdiction over oceans and transportation and maritime issues, as well as telecommunications. And I'm also on the Energy and Natural Resources Committee. And I'm the only freshman to be given a gavel to be a chair of a subcommittee. That subcommittee is called the Water and Power Subcommittee. And I'm also on the Indian Affairs Committee, which has jurisdiction over Native Hawaiian issues. So all in all, it's been a very, very good start, thanks to the relationships that we're beginning to build and my new friends in the Senate.
In recent days, you have mentioned that your top concerns are jobs, the economy, and clean energy. Being the chair of one of those committees that deals with clean energy, what are some of the projects that you foresee coming up for the islands? I know you attended the windmill dedication here on Maui. Is there more projects like that that we can see in the future?
Yes, absolutely. You know, Maui is leading the way when it comes to clean energy generally, but also specifically wind energy. We've been able to more than double wind capacity over the last year and a half, and there's more to come. Maui Island is really showing the rest of the nation that this can be done, and it can be done in a way that generates economic momentum locally. We're becoming real specialists here in not just the clean energy side of it, but also making sure that we have an electricity grid that works with clean energy. I was able to talk with the chair of the Energy Committee, Ron Wyden from Oregon, and he's very, very interested in taking the example of Hawaii and nationalizing it. So it's not just that he wants to support our efforts, but he actually wants to take what we're doing here on Maui and across the state of Hawaii and use it as an example for national legislation.
Being a tri-isle community, we're also concerned with what happens on the outer islands of Molokai and Lanai. Recently, the mayor met with Larry Ellison, who's the new majority owner of the island, and he had brought up the idea of establishing a desalinization plant. Is that a project that you could foresee having benefits for the island or for the state as a whole?
Well, I think it's something that we're going to have to look at over time. I think there are a number of people who have cautious optimism about Larry Ellison's role on the island. I think the folks on the island are excited, but cautiously so as they see what happens next. I think desalinization is something that ought to be looked at very carefully, but the first thing we have to do is conserve our water, and only if we're unable to make sure that we're recharging our aquifers do we start to look at that. But that may be a technology that we need to use in order to sustainably use our water resources.
Okay, and the big story on Maui today and yesterday has been the weather and just how much we've been inundated with flooding and the people that have been affected. I know federal funds is so important when it comes to emergencies like that. Is there anything like that that you plan to support for Maui and the state as a whole? Well,
certainly our congressional delegation will always be ready should a disaster be declared. The way the process works is if there's a disaster declared, it goes through the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and then that process kind of works its way, and then we have to work to get the funding. But first the disaster has to be declared. But we're in contact with the mayor's office and the governor's office and local officials to see, to sort of assess the damage as we go along. But whether it's this time or whenever, God forbid, another natural disaster occurs, certainly our delegation will be there to make sure that Maui gets made whole on a financial level. We were able to secure $17 million to help with the roadways which were damaged in the flooding of last year. And so that's something that you can kind of count on your congressional delegation to work on, because it's kind of core to our responsibility to make sure that transportation infrastructure and basic public safety is taken care of.
Okay, now heading back up to Washington, I know you've made some key appointments in terms of having representatives on the different islands. How can Maui constituents get in contact with you and maintain an ongoing relationship to make sure that their concerns are addressed?
Well, we've got two great representatives on the island of Maui, Carrie Luna and Helen Nielsen. Probably a lot of your viewers know them both personally, but to look them up, you can just go to schatz.senate.gov and just pop us an email, and we'll make sure to forward it to your Maui representatives, and we'll make sure to get back to you as soon as we possibly can. I believe this is the first time that a member of the Senate from Hawaii has had two representatives on any island other than Oahu. And that's because we recognize that Maui is important, that it's growing, and that we just couldn't cover all the ground with just one person. So we've got two really dynamite women to make sure that the needs of Maui County are represented as well as possible in Washington, D.C.